Hi there. The spiritual attribute that I'm going to talk to you about today is the one that is called brotherhood. Now, I feel I need to start right off with a bit of an explanation about why it is called what it is. Brotherhood has been a term used in the ancient wisdom for centuries, so it's a traditional term, traditional spiritual term, which perhaps a lot of people might not be so used to in this more modern age. Many of you probably are. But I understand that in today's world, where gender is not limited to male or female, rightly so, for our souls are genderless. Our souls are not male or female, and each life we live may be male or female. Just because you are a certain gender, and even if you are non-binary in this life, you haven't always been non-binary. You haven't always been male, you haven't always been female, and any of the other colours of the gender rainbow. We've been them all, actually, in our many, many lifetimes. We just don't remember it. But as spiritual people, if we do have difficulty with some of this gender identity of today, perhaps we need to just remind ourselves of that. Even though we can't remember it, we have been every colour of the gender rainbow over our lifetimes. And our soul is what is often referred to as androgynous. Neither male nor female, or that complete balance of male, female. So when I use the term brotherhood in reference to the spiritual attribute of brotherhood, I'm not using it in any masculine connotation whatsoever. A woman's group that has totally female people. Well, it gets a bit complicated, doesn't it? But people who identify as female, and they have a group. We can still refer to them as a brotherhood from the spiritual attribute point of view. You might call them a sisterhood. But we're not looking at that sort of modern everyday use of the word here. So the term brother we think of as our sibling, male sibling. But that's not how we want to view the word brother in the word brotherhood. What I want you to think of in the term brotherhood is a group of like-minded humans made up of any possible gender representation that there is in the human race. But they're like-minded. Maybe they're a sports group because then they're passionate about their sport. So that's a very sort of non-spiritual representation of it. We don't have too many kind of mixed gender sport groups, not professionally, but I think, you know, when the families get together for Christmas and stuff like that and have the family cricket game, everybody can join in, I think, don't they? So, and that's it, a family, really, a well-functioning family. Because we do have some dysfunctional families in the human race, don't we? That is part of our learning experience to deal with such things. But a well-functioning family is a brotherhood from the spiritual attribute viewpoint. So when we're looking at that term brotherhood, I want you to just lose that idea of being masculine oriented. I gave a bit of thought to this before I started the video this morning. Not that I'm going to change the name of spiritual attributes now. They were given to me in the 1980s. Political correctness hadn't been invented then, I don't think. And certainly we weren't, our society wasn't as tolerant as it is now, and I would not want to go back to those days. But perhaps if these attributes were given to me now, there may be a few of them that I might have thought, oh, that term's a little bit old-fashioned. Can we come up with something a bit more modern? But back in the day, that's not where I was. And I was very into the ancient wisdom and the ancient teachings, and a lot of those writings on those were at least 100 years old at the time. So our English language had changed a lot even from them. But my guide who gave them to me, that was the English that he was used to, and it easily flowed through my brain at the time. So I felt I just needed to give this preliminary here, because this one, probably out of all of the spiritual attributes, just may strike the wrong kind of chord with some people when they hear it. And I understand exactly why. And so I'm going at great lengths right now to assure you that you please, if you change the name of it, if you can come up with something better for your own self, as long as you know that it's the spiritual attribute of brotherhood, which you are calling, put a slash in it, like we have innocence, harmlessness, and justice is passion. We have that sort of slash in there. If you feel more comfortable calling brotherhood slash something else, as long as you maintain the integrity of the spiritual attribute, you will not sever any links to the energy that flows through it, or that it is linked to, or however you want to explain that. And I have explained that in a previous video, and possibly mentioned it before, how the spiritual attributes really do have an energy connected to them. And we don't want to tamper or weaken any links to that. But we also want you to have or be comfortable with these terms, because everything has to grow and evolve. Language has grown and evolved so much, not just the English language, but every other country as well, I'm sure. Every other language has grown and evolved over the centuries too. And I was thinking that this morning, that perhaps, further down the track, all of these spiritual attributes might have more modernized names. But that's a chore for somebody else, not for me. My chore was to bring these forth when I did, and now to present them to the spiritual world in whatever way that I can. So I hope you understand now what I mean by the term brotherhood. It is like our tribe in a way. So we have our families, we have our friendship groups, whether a friendship, if it's a true friendship group, it's a brotherhood, an informal brotherhood. If it's just a list of acquaintances, not so much so. Certainly there's that element of the energy there, but it's weaker, because the thing that really makes a brotherhood is that bond between the people who belong to it. They share the same principles, the same beliefs, more or less, pretty close. They're loyal to each other. They are, Oh, they just threw this into me. You could even call a political party a brotherhood. Uh, and I'm not going to get into politics, but it's just, I guess, trying to give you a whole lot of different examples in the everyday world where this energy of brotherhood is working or trying to work. In some areas, it's more successful than others because the energy of brotherhood is about bringing them together, bringing people together, collecting people together, and helping them to function as a harmonious and well-balanced group to achieve some goal. And it may be a goal on a worldwide scale, or it may just be a goal on a personal scale for those people involved. So, when you are following your spiritual path, you can do a lot on your own, okay? And at times you have to do a lot on your own. There is no one else around you who thinks quite like you do, who you can really talk as openly and honestly about your spiritual beliefs as you'd like to. And that's a part of the path, and it can be lonely, but it is a part of the path, and we have to walk it in that way sometimes. But there is also the part of the path where we need to hook up with others who are at very similar stages on their spiritual journey, or at least a group of people who may be on different stages of the spiritual journey, but it's virtually the same spiritual journey, so that those who are further along can actually assist those who are coming behind to continue and to get to where they are, and they're continuing their growth, and in helping to bring those coming behind them along, that helps them to expand further in their growth. So that's the spirit of brotherhood, or the energy of brotherhood at work in a group. So sooner or later, you'll need to hook up with at least another person. It can be a brotherhood of two, and it can be, as I said, it can be two women, it can be two non-binaries, or a non-binary and a male or a female, or any of the various genders that we have identified and named in this modern world of ours. But yeah, so two people, two humans can make a brotherhood as long as they are working and supporting each other in some way, shape or form. I'm talking about with spiritual growth here, but I realise it doesn't have to be. It can be just helping each other through life. So we talk about brothers in arms, and that used to be for warriors, and there were women warriors. But sometimes the brothers in arms is our fight against mental illness or something like that, or some other illness that we have in common. And again, let's take the gender totally out of the word brother for our use, please. So I'll talk now about this need to find your tribe. I've heard people say that in the last few years. I need to find my tribe. And I thought, wow, that says it all. Because when you look at tribal societies, they support each other, and they have rules that people have to abide by so that everyone in that tribe gets a fair deal. And that's really how spiritual groups work too, or they should. Okay, so I'm not saying they all do. That can be another battleground, joining a spiritual group. I won't even go there. You'll probably experience that for yourself. But yeah, there will come a time when you will need to seek out others so that you can learn side by side with them, so you can learn from them, so that you can teach others. because that's a part of it as well. It's not just all me, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm getting all this. Oh, yes, I'm growing, evolving. Part of that growing and evolving means sharing when appropriate, sharing your knowledge when appropriate. Sooner or later you'll be a spiritual guide in the flesh, even if it's only briefly. And you can't do that all by yourself. Now, I'm talking physical groups here, which are really, they're really great. That human interaction with a physical person. But if that's not possible, we have online now. And you may find an online group that suits you better than a physical group. There may be the physical group you'd like to be with, but because of your working hours or whatever, you can't be there. It'd be great if they had an online connection that you could join. Some do, some don't. But otherwise, you might find that you can find your tribe online. Just, you don't have to force anything. When the time is right, you will meet or connect with who you need to connect with, or you'll get that urge that, okay, I really do need to interact in some way, shape or form with other like-minded people. And if you get that urge, start, inquiring in your area what's available, or even look online and see what's available to you, because it will help you with your spiritual growth and development. So I think I've said enough about brotherhood, because it's something you experience, and perhaps as you do, maybe join some groups, you might think about how strong is the spirit of brotherhood in this group. Is it really strong, or is it struggling here? That's just part of your learning, to be able to observe these things. If it's struggling, you think, was there anything I can do to strengthen it? Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. Maybe you'll try some groups and they're not for you. But maybe the other ones in there have a strong sense of brotherhood, even if they might not call it that, but you just don't quite fit in. So for you, you're not feeling that connection. And if that's the case, then that isn't your brotherhood. Some people have to try a few groups before they find theirs. So don't be afraid to reach out to others in the spiritual community until you find those that you can truly connect with as a brotherhood. Thank you for listening to me.